Alright, Jake, I'm filming.
So guys, I'm in the hospital. I had an accident, broke my back.
I get my brain scanned at the hospital to see what's going on. Tell me how.
Oh yeah, bro, I got a new big hole right there.
Bro, I got a big hole in my brain, bro.
Oh my
Big ass hole right here.
I told you I feel stupider.
The news that Jake Paul had cancelled his much anticipated, although contentious, bout with Mike Tyson sent the boxing world into disarray. This abrupt change in the course of events occurred only a few days after a video went viral online and shocked the combat sports community. The video showed Paul and Tyson engaging in a fast sparring match that immediately went south. In the footage, Paul looked helpless to protect himself as Tyson, who was noticeably older, rained down a barrage of savage blows on him. Paul is seen in the final moments of the clip, slumped against the ropes, his face a mask of anguish and shame. With that, rumors began to circulate. Was this a planned publicity gimmick to increase curiosity about the bout, or was it just a sincere demonstration of Tyson's unadulterated strength acting as a harsh wake-up call for Paul? But Jake Paul presented an alternative viewpoint. He took aim at the incident in a blunt social media post. Paul wrote, "What you saw in that video was not a sparring session, it was an attack. It's obvious that Mike Tyson never meant for this to be a training drill. His only intention when he entered the room was to harm me as much as possible." Paul continued by expressing his dissatisfaction and disappointment. He went on, "I've committed myself to this sport. I've trained non-stop, pushing myself to the limit. But after what transpired, I can't enter the ring with someone who so obviously doesn't care about his opponent's safety." The fighting community went crazy after hearing this news. Those who were hoping to see a fight between the famous boxer and a YouTuber were let down. Those who had always laughed at Paul's boxing credentials took advantage of this to make fun of him even more. But there were also many who agreed with Paul's choice. He received a lot of praise for putting his health and safety before the promise of a large salary. The event has sparked new debates about the morality of exhibition fights, especially when elderly fighters, who might not be at their best physically, are involved. It remains to be seen if this is the final chapter in the Paul Tyson story. In his social media post, Paul did raise the possibility of a future rematch, but only if more stringent security protocols are put in place. But it appears that the harm has been done. With Paul suffering from a damaged ego and lacking confidence, Tyson's actions during the vicious sparring session have clouded the fight's outcome. As the impact from the startling sparring footage between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul grew, Paul decided to take legal action in addition to cancelling the bout. In addition to posting a statement on social media expressing his indignation, Paul's camp sued Tyson for $200 million, alleging that he assaulted him. The litigation extended beyond the actual sparring match. Paul's defense team contended that Tyson acted with malice and premeditation. They asserted that rather than participating in a supervised training session, he entered the arena with the intention of causing significant bodily injury. The complaint used witness testimony and video evidence to bolster their allegations. The already volatile scenario became even more difficult as a result of this judicial action. It made it quite evident that Paul would not put up with Tyson's claimed abuse and that he planned to pursue large financial damages for the trauma and reputational harm.
Day 3, you still wanna fuck with me?
I think it could happen as like an exhibition probably.
Just because you
But
couldn't.
I think he thinks that he would win, and I would love to just like deflate his little 130 pounds. Just,
for the weight.
yeah. And his footwork sucks. Like once I'm learning more about the sport, it's like he's fast and quick and been doing it his whole life, obviously, but his feet are terrible apart. He got flat-footed, stuck.
After the sparring match with Jake Paul, Tyson faced a flurry of criticism and a sizable lawsuit. Eventually, he broke his silence. An obviously irritated Iron Mike tackled the issue head-on in a video that was uploaded to his social media accounts. Tyson started off first, his voice tinged with a barely subdued rage. "Let's be clear about this. This was not a class in ballet. This was training for boxing, and you had to respect the fucking game." Then, Tyson began to recount his account of what happened. He sneered at this guy named Jake Paul as he sauntered into the gym, haughtily speaking and showing disrespect for the legends. He believes that boxing is a joke on YouTube. Guess what though? It's not. Tyson claims he was driven over the brink by Paul's persistent clowning and rudeness towards him and his group. And Tyson went on, imitating my movements and calling me names, like he was making light of things. I gave him some space and advised him to stop, but he persisted in pushing it. The sparring session itself, according to Tyson, naturally intensified. He indicated that we started out light. However, as soon as he became arrogant and began to throw wild punches without regard for technique, I had to teach him what happens when you play around in the ring. After that, the movie switched to a montage of Tyson's best moments, including lightning-fast knockouts and vicious combinations that seemed to be directed at Paul. Perhaps, Tyson thought, his voice tightening, that small taste will make him realize his foolishness. It is not a game to box, it's all about winning at any costs, discipline, and respect. You'd better avoid the ring if you don't have those items. Reactions to Tyson's statement were not uniform. A few supporters came up to support him, praising him for correcting a young person who was being disrespectful. Some perceived it as a self-serving rationalization for needless aggression. They contended that the action did little more than bolster the theory that Tyson did not act to punish Paul, but rather out of rage. Whatever the general consensus, one thing was certain: Mike Tyson had no regrets. He presented himself as the guardian of traditional boxing principles, not ready to put up with slights to the game or its icons. It remains to be seen if this story finds resonance with a larger audience or if it only stirs up more controversy. Jake Paul reiterated his charges and launched new assaults in a ferocious refutation of Mike Tyson's assertions. Paul released a video on social media, his typical outlet, that was equal parts indignation and what some may describe as thinly veiled ridicule. Paul said, "I was disrespecting the sport," with a faint smirk on his lips, addressing Mike Tyson. "Please give me a moment. I observed no disrespect other than his disdain for fundamental human decency." Paul then went about tearing apart Tyson's story, piece by piece. "I was clowning around," he says, "not to put on a comic show, but to train." Regarding imitating his action, perhaps he wouldn't have become so agitated if he had remembered good form himself. Paul was obviously trying to get under Tyson's already thick skin with his sarcastic remarks. Then he veered off course and into more contentious area. Paul said, seeming serious, "Look, the dude obviously isn't feeling good. He's enmeshed in some kind of idealized past and living in the past, not to mention the numerous indications of brain injury. Correct?" This remark set off a chain reaction. Although Paul's early stand against Tyson's alleged cruelty had won him some sympathy, this comment felt rude and heartless. It sparked new debates regarding the morality of taking advantage of someone else's possible health problems for one's own gain. Nevertheless, Paul was unfazed. He wishes to discuss respect. With a rhetorical question, he questioned his opponent's respect as well as the sport. When he started attacking me in full, where was that respect? Since, to put it simply, it was an assault. Not a teaching moment. Attack, not tender affection. Paul reiterated his commitment to pursue the lawsuit as the video came to an end. Paul came to the conclusion that even if he is a legend, it doesn't give him permission to behave irrationally. The goal of this litigation is to make a statement, particularly from someone who blatantly created his own version of the sport. Violence has no place in boxing. Paul took a calculated risk in reply. It kept the issue going and brought him attention, but it also put him at risk of offending some viewers who thought his remarks were offensive. It would take time to see if this tactic would pay off or if it would further cement his status as the victim in this very public showdown.
A mistake that he made, but I mean, he's an idiot, and so
he's not getting shit.
So yeah, literally, like the next offer for him is like nothing basically, and like my brand only increases to like a whole nother level, and it's like we probably would have been 50-50 for that fight, and now it's like after this and everything.
I feel like there's just all these crazy things, and it's just bad, and people are in this business just looking to make money over anything really. Be patient, take it fight by fight, and that moment will come for sure. But
The best boxer on the planet is
Jake Paul.
I mean, if Mike Tyson says, let's do this, are you down?
100%.
Jake Paul was far from finished. Paul increased the stakes in the ongoing back and forth with Mike Tyson, not just with his words, but also with the lawsuit. Paul revealed a change to the original file during a news conference that was live streamed on his channel. Previously seeking $200 million for assault, the lawsuit now specifically named violence as a primary reason for damages. Paul said in a firm, almost priggish voice, "This isn't just about me, this is about us all." The purpose of this is to convey a message to everyone who believes that boxing is open to anyone. Respect is expected, regulations exist, and there's a very good reason for them. Paul went on to define hostility in this particular context. Mike Tyson's shown his inability to restrain his aggression. He clarified that his purpose was not to train. I was the unlucky object of his wrath, which he was there to vent. More information from the sparring session was provided in the amended lawsuit, and witness accounts supported Paul's allegations of using excessive force and showing total contempt for safety precautions to capture Paul's physical and psychological injuries from the incident. Medical records were also discussed. Paul spoke bluntly to those who would accuse him of pulling a publicity hoax. However, I can assure you that being abused in a boxing ring is not enjoyable. The act of suing a legend is not glamorous. I'm acting in this way because it's morally correct. It changed the topic of discussion from the initial charges of being impolite and goofy. Undoubtedly, however, the story of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson persisted in grabbing headlines and keeping the boxing community abuzz. Don't forget to share your opinions in the comment box. For more boxing news, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.